To build or not to build, that is the question. Often we encounter people interested in buying bare land but are really unsure about what the process entails, what makes one parcel more valuable than the other, and what steps to take during the buying period to ensure it's a smart investment. If that sounds like you and buying land is on your radar, especially in 2025, then today's episode is for you. Thanks so much for tuning into another episode of Rooted in Redding. I'm Faith Barrett, your local guide to everything happening here in this beautiful city I call home. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as we share weekly updates about Redding and the housing market as a whole. Step 1, location, location, location. When somebody tells me they are thinking about buying land, my first question is always where? Because the location of your land can drastically affect the price and what options are available to you. For example, on the Shasta MLS, there are currently over 500 pieces of land for sale in Shasta, Trinity, and Siskiyou counties. Those price ranges all vary from as low as $8,000 to nearly $4.7 million. Now, many of these lots are rural, located outside the city limits. If you're not sure where to begin, ask yourself, what do you want to do with this land? Whether it's building your dream home, starting a farm, or just having space to roam, knowing your purpose will really help you choose that area that really matches your vision. Step 2 is understanding land value. Now, once you've identified your location, the next step is to understand what makes land valuable. That boils down to 4 key factors. Number 1 is usability. How flat is the land and how much work will it need to make it buildable? Number 2 is size. How many acres are you looking at? Number 3 is location. Is it in an area that's desirable or has potential for growth? And number 4 is what kind of utilities does the property have, like water, power, and septic systems? So let me give you an example. In Lake California, which is a gated community in Cottonwood, you can find a 1/4 acre lot for about $20,000 to $25,000. Now, it's a great price, but the desirability depends on your lifestyle. Some love the amenities like the lake, the clubhouse, and the equestrian trails, while others find the HOA or the single access point less appealing. If you took that same lot size and try to find that in the city of Redding, on an average, you're probably going to be somewhere between $80,000 to a little over $125,000 for a decent lot. On the flip side, if you were to look at land in Palisadro, a place where many desire to live, you would pay a premium price for that land there because of the desirability, the country lifestyle, and those properties can range anywhere between $150,000 to even $575,000, depending on how many usable acres there are, is it near a creek, or even a view lot. So this brings me to a critical point. Focus on the lifestyle, not just the price point, because areas like Cottonwood, Anderson, Palisadro, and parts of Red Bluff offer great value for country living, but each come with its own unique pros and cons. Number 3 is utilities and development cost. Now, let's talk about utilities, a major consideration when purchasing land. Now, this is where costs can quickly add up, so it's important to know what you're dealing with. Start by asking, does the property already have utilities, or will you need to install them? If you go more rural and there are systems in place or not in place, like a septic system or a well, make sure you do your due diligence in inspecting them or investigating the cost to put one in. In the state of California, you typically have 17 days to complete this. For septic systems, aka your waste system, if the property doesn't already have one, you'll need a percolation test to determine the soil's ability to absorb waste and where the system can be placed on the property. The size of the system will depend on how many bedrooms you plan for in your home. Many times we will negotiate that the seller pays for this test, as it can average to be about $1,500 for the test. For wells, having one already drilled can save you thousands. If not, you'll need to hire a well driller to determine the depth and the water table. Keep in mind, deeper wells often provide better water quality but can be more expensive to install. If a well is on the property, you'll want to inspect it to understand things like the quality of water, gallons per minute it produces, and how deep it is. For power, most of the time you'll see power at the lot line, which commonly means that when you start building, you'll have to pay fees to bring the power to the property. For gas, if you are in the city and there's a gas line to access, you'll be able to tie into that when you decide to build. However, if you're rural, your source of gas will be propane, which essentially just means you will put a tank out on your property and then run that gas line to your house when you're building. If the property has access to public utilities like water or sewer, the costs are typically lower, but there will be fees to tie it into when you decide to go to build. Step 4 is regulation and restrictions. Now, these can be attached to the property and they're specifically known as CC&Rs, which is covenant, conditions, and restrictions, as well as HOA, which basically stands for Homeowners Association. Now, these can impact what you can build and how the land can be utilized. I will say our area doesn't have a ton of HOA neighborhoods, but some older developed neighborhoods have CC&Rs attached to them. Sometimes people think that CC&Rs means it's an HOA, and they are actually two different things. So HOA is a group or organization that manages a neighborhood or community. Now, if you live in an HOA, you'll usually pay a monthly or yearly fee for things shared like a pool, a clubhouse, sometimes road maintenance, or even landscaping, and just kind of the general overall of the neighborhood upkeep. They also enforce rules like keeping your yard tidy or not parking an RV in your driveway. Now, CC&Rs, on the other hand, these are the rules for what you can and can't do with your property. For example, CC&Rs might specify the minimum size of the home you can build, the style of construction allowed, or whether you can put a mobile home on the property. Now, CC&Rs are tied to the land even if there's no HOA. So think of CC&Rs as a set of rules for the property itself, while the HOA is like a group of neighbors enforcing rules and managing shared spaces. Some neighborhoods might have CC&Rs without an HOA, but most HOAs will always have CC&Rs attached to it. If you're buying in a rural area without a neighborhood association, you're likely to have more flexibility. Either way, a title report will show if there's any CC&Rs attached to the land that will affect what you can do with it. Always check with the city or county to fully understand the zoning and land use regulations. This step can save you from surprises down the road. Lastly is the financing options. Now that we've covered the basics of land value and development, let's talk about how to finance your purchase. Now, most common options is cash, but if that's not feasible, you can explore financing through a bank. Now, keep in mind, land loans often require larger down payments, sometimes in the range of 25 to even 50%, and interest rates tend to range between 8 to 12%. Another option is seller financing, where the seller acts as the lender. This can be a win-win if the terms make sense for both parties, especially in the areas where land has been on the market for quite some time. Buying land can be really exciting because you can customize your dream home, but it's important to approach it with a clear understanding of the process. From location and land value to utilities and financing, there are many factors to consider to ensure your investment makes sense for you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more insights on the Reading real estate and lifestyle that we always share here on this channel. I'm Faith Barrett, your local guide to everything here in our area. Thanks for watching and tuning into this week's episode of Rooted in Reading. We'll see you next week.